So I want their energy, 95% of the energy is focused to solve the problem, whatever I solve. The meditation is to facilitate them so they don't have to use any brain power to decode them. So it is so simple.
Welcome to Process Pioneers, the show that takes a deep dive into the minds of decision makers, key influencers, and process experts who are pioneering the world of everything process.
Welcome to another episode of Process Pioneers. My name is Daniel Rayner. I'm the host of Process Pioneers. And in each of these episodes, I get the absolute privilege of sitting down with different individuals, different business process management practitioners that are working with their organization to deliver value to their customers. And how do we deliver value to our customers? It's always through a process. It's always through a sequence of tasks or activities. And so we're talking with those that are within these organizations, and they're looking at ways, how do we manage these processes? How do we improve these processes? How do we innovate and create innovative processes? And today I have the absolute privilege of sitting down with Kevin Tan. Now, Kevin is he's worked with a number of Australia's largest organisations, including NBN, Telstra, NAB, and he's at a large insurance company at the moment. And Kevin has been, his area of expertise or specialty has been focused on business process modelling and working with standards and notations such as BPMN 2.0. But I'm very excited for this conversation today. Kevin, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Daniel.
So what we might do, Kevin, to begin is if you can, that was a bit of a brief introduction, but if you can take us back to where process first piqued your interest or your attention, and then take us on a journey leading up to the work that you're doing today.
All right. I think it started maybe 30 years ago. I think it's my first job. My first job was a programmer.
Yes, right.
I was a coder, programmer. So when I do programming, one of the tool or the technique that I use is to use the flowchart.
Right.
Just to write out how the logics flow, if, else, looping. So that's the first time I have a chance to build a process model. And I love it. I realized this is a good way for me to communicate with other developer or the business analyst.
Right.
After a few years, I moved on as a system analyst back in Singapore, or business analyst, where I started using different model technique like flowchart and UML. So UML is the first formal notation that I have picked up.
Right.
Yep. I find it UML is pretty good, very interesting. It's really able to help me to explain those complex logic when I'm doing coding or application development. However, I feel that there's a lack of something in UML. Something missing.
Right.
Not until then, I found my next notation, which is BPMN. I remember it's 2011 in Melbourne.
Right.
Then I say, this is the right guide that I want. Because it's not just able to express the logic, it expresses from the business point of view, which I think is very crucial. Because everything is driven by business. We want to see everything from business point of view, not from the system, not from other point of view. So BPMN allowed me to do that. But at the same time, I'm able to express any technical information, system information, interface data that I wanted to show to the user. So BPM able to do that.
Right.
So okay. So sorry, I just carry on myself away. So for my whole life is a business analyst, and modeling is my main major tool for me to communicate with all different stakeholders.
Right.
From the technical guy to the CEO or to the operation manager.
Yes. That's great. That's fantastic. And in talking about different standards and notations, you mentioned UML there, you mentioned BPMN. Why is it important? Because, there'll be a number of people listening right now that maybe BPMN 2.0, they haven't heard of that standard or that notation before, or maybe they're using something else or some other standard or notation. But talk to us about why is it important for there to be a standard notation that is widely accepted and widely understood, like BPMN?
Okay. To answer this question, I must be very careful. Because BPMN, I think, I would say that a lot of people have doesn't have a very good impression of BPMN.
Right.
All right, they will say BPMN, wow, is too complicated. There's about 100 of notation. It's very difficult to. The learning curve is high. All right, and there's this. Seems like there's no standard. Everyone can do whatever they like using BPMN. All right, but why I say BPMN is just like a English dictionary.
Right.
All right, but how you use the word, how to use the notation in the dictionary to write a good story book that is interesting, that tells story, it depends on the writer. It's not depend on the language.
Right.
So do not blame the language when you're not able to write a good book.
Right. Okay.
However, it's still crucial that the language must be good, because no matter how well you can write a story, but your language, let's say the English is very poor with limited vocabulary, then you cannot write something that's good. So what BPMN have is a good dictionary. You can pick and choose whatever that suit your organization,
Yes.
suit your business, then you can bring up the maximum benefit.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That's great. That's really good. And when an organization is adopting, say, I guess, business process management, which part of it is, modeling, business process modeling, what is one of the biggest challenges an organization faces when starting to model their processes?
Good question. So I would say the biggest challenge, say, for example, they have selected a notation, whichever notation they wanted, then when they start modeling, the challenge is that in the organization, consistency of the model is number one. It's very crucial.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, say, for some, I'll give an analogy. Say, for example, if you go to buying warehouse as a customer, you will have a confidence, you're very comfortable, you know where to get what you want. Even something that you have never bought before, you can roughly, I think it's roughly around this area. The garden is on the left. Even when you go to different buying warehouse in the city or in the suburb, they will look about the same. So same thing apply to this process model.
Right.
For an organization, consistency is crucial because it creates synergy, it creates comfort level. So the more consistent you are, you will reap the benefit at the later stage. Not from day one, but you can see it's getting better, better, and better.
Yes.
Maybe the first 2 months, not so good. It's about, well, everyone have to do the same way. It's boring. I cannot be innovative. You have all this concept, but it pays. It pays. Sacrifice a little bit everyone, because every process modeler, they have different experience.
Right.
They will bring in different habit, good or bad. They bring in, but everyone must sacrifice themselves for the bigger picture, for the good of the organization. That is consistency.
Yes. Yes. Consistency. That's great.
Consistency.
And when working with an organization to understand, well, what is the process? You're tasked with the job to document that process down. And I'm sure you've been in a number of workshops before where you're trying to figure out, well, what is actually going on? What is happening? And maybe different people have different opinions or perspectives of what's going on. So how does an organization determine or understand what's going on in a process?
When you ask the question, I try to ask the two answer for that.
Yes, right.
Okay, I have realized that more and more organizations, they already have some form of process documentation.
Right.
In my past, they hardly have, you go to the organization, we don't know what we are doing, so he just talk and explain to you, this is how we run the business. No, I would say most of the time they have some kind of process in visual or paper or Excel spreadsheet or in whatever form. They have a collections of documents that tell you the process. This is what happened today. I believe most of the time. So I would say the challenge now is that as a business process modeler or business analyst, what we need to do is that we have to quickly absorb all this information that is not organized very well, maybe in different notation, whatever. We have to just absorb them, purify them, and present them in the nice, simple, but not simpler, simple process and do the business. Then from there, the business have a quick look, then they start giving you some feedback. I think you're right, this part is right, but no, we're not doing this thing. So this is how I think is.
Yes.
And also I think in order to be success in those workshops, it's all about, first, we need to have the technical skill of modeling called back of my head. That means I don't have to worry about it. So my 95% of my focus is on the business. Hey, what they tell me, what they want, rather than worry about what notation to put, which one to do. And I think with this, with the new generation is that business want it quick. Okay, if you get a process map to done in, say, in 3 weeks or in 2 weeks, this is just too long. It's crazy.
Yes.
I'm busy. I don't have so many workshops. If you 3 workshops in a row, no, they only have 1 hour. Maximum, I give you 1.5 hours. Whoa, that's good, 1 hour. So they want it quick. So what we have to do is that during the workshop, instant, see this is changing. You have to just make the changes on the fly.
Right.
And get it right the first time.
Yes, right.
Get it right the first time. All right. So then they will have the confidence. Then they will start be very engaging. And we also talk about process modeling. It's not just about drawing the box. It's also about you need to make your business fall in love. Because this is just part of them. It's not you drawing the model. It's their business. So in the process of getting the model out, I want them to love the model, so they own them.
Yes.
And this is a joint venture program. You know, when you ask the question, actually a lot of the words, like the start, the end, even how to describe the task, those words is come from the SME, not from me.
Right.
I just guide them to the right direction. They have to choose the words. Of course, I need to guide them. So it's like I would say, a quality model is the outcome of a cooperation between the SME, the subject matter expert, and the process modeler.
Yes. That's great. I think it is really important to, engage with the SME, as you've been talking about, because, they're the ones that they're the process practitioner. They're the ones that are doing the work. They're probably identifying the pain points or the problems or even areas for improvement. And so if you bring them into the picture and they're the ones coming up with the solutions, then I think that's a really good way to work with them.
Yes, but I want to say one thing different is this process model. The advantage is process model is a visual representation, not a text representation.
Right.
So I think we have this, say, called good practice. Let's say we have a group of SMEs, say 4 or 5 of them in the meeting room. They want to discuss something, brainstorm, solve a problem. What people say that you have to put your problem statement on the wall, so everyone look at it. Then they will start thinking, okay, this is the problem we want to stop. This is the problem. Just start thinking. But process model is one step ahead. What we did is we not just give them the text, because text you need to read, because you interpret it. I give you a map that's simple. So, everyone's just able to focus. Okay, this is a problem. There's a touch point here. If I change here, I put an automation here. Yeah, it's good. But however, this guy will be impacted. John will not be happy. John will say, I'm not going to do that. Can we try different way? Then the other guy say, no, if you're doing this, we have to upgrade this system. Does not able to work. So by bringing all the notation, all the important element that is relevant on one page, not too big, just on one page. This leads to say that when I say simple, that means that you cannot have too much notation on a page. When it's too much, it's just information overloading. People are not able to focus.
Yes.
You cannot get the best out of them by throwing them too many information.
Yes, right. So I guess when using a notation like BPMN, how do you go about, not going overboard with it? How do you manage that notation so that you're only using the critical objects that you want to display without, doing information overload, as you're saying. You want to keep it simple. You want to keep it consumable and understandable. How do you go about managing?
Good question. All right. It really depends on the purpose of that modeling exercise.
Right.
All right. Before even you step into the workshop, you have to know everything inside out as much as possible.
Right.
With this, then you kind of able to guess what information is crucial for the business to make the decision. I do not know how to make it, but I kind of able to instantly tell this information is important. I need to bring it out at this level, service. This information I is happy to put into the next level. So if they want to know a little bit more, they may just click and go to the next level. But I want to put everything on one page. In general, it's like the cause and the effect have to be on the same page. If I do this, this will happen. I want to see it on the same page. If I do this, what will happen? I do not know. I have to go to the next level. There's too much to end up flipping the book. It's like, go to page 5. Wait, at the end, you have to reconstruct the problem in your head. There's too much. So I want the energy, 95% of the energy is focused to solve the problem, what they want to solve. The notation is to facilitate them so they don't have to use any brain power to decode them. So make it so simple. Okay, let me to be more specific. That model, any model that we produce, if you measure by second, I would say not more than 30 seconds. If average person need more than 30 seconds to understand your map, not good enough.
Yes, right.
Not good enough. Less than 30 seconds, I'm talking about even like a 20 seconds. You look at it, you get the concept, cool. Let's discuss what you're going to do.
That's great. So when we look at an organization that is putting business process management into practice, or more specifically, they've modeled a business process and they're looking at ways, how can we improve that process? Whether it is looking at it from an incremental, how can we make tweaks, or whether it is from a looking at the process as a whole and being like, well, we need to radically innovate the way that we do this process. Do you have any examples that come to mind where an organization has understood their process, they've managed that process, whether that means improvement or governance or whatever, and they've realized great value from that work that they've been doing?
All right. I think I remember I worked for a retail company. So what happened is that their business is growing. Eventually, they decided to form a new department to sell a specific product. Right. But so what they did is that, okay, so the GM saying, okay, we're going to set up this new department. We're going to use may want to use some new software, billing software, and I want to recruit the right staff to do this one. So this is a new product, but this product is kind of similar to the product we have. Right. So I was brought in to say, okay, let's look at the process, which at that point, now we have some visual here, small little process there. So what I did is that I helped them to produce an end-to-end process, how to run this new product, from marketing to sales to training, to customer service, manage the complaint, quality review, all those stuff, all mapped into from level 3 onwards. So level 3 and 4, end to end. So the outcome is that I think they're quickly able to identify what they want to use or what they do not want to use. Right. Because this product, although it's about the same, but it's slightly different. So with the model, they actually help them pick and choose what is the functionality makes sense to this new product. Yes. They're also able to estimate roughly, okay, I need to put 2% here, 3% there, everything. So I think from there is that I can see that when you have a process model that provides clarity, it's easier for the business to make decision and they have the confidence to make the decision. I think that is the biggest win, I say.
That's great. That's really good. Yeah, I think clarity is so important. You know, you can only make good decisions if you know what is your baseline, where are you starting at, what is the current process, how do we currently deliver value, and then from there, how can we improve? So I think another way of describing it could be process transparency, and having a process that's transparent, that's understood by the organization. But yeah, I think that clarity is something that organizations can, that's what BPM can give an organization, is that clarity on what's actually going on. But for someone listening right now that, maybe they're in an organization where they don't model their business processes, there isn't that understanding, they haven't documented their processes. How should that person go about getting buy-in from the organization? It's probably going to be the executive leadership team. It might be middle management, but it's also, as we've spoken about before, about getting buy-in from the SMEs, getting buy-in from the process practitioners, the ones that are carrying out the work. How should someone go about getting buy-in or getting people to accept process documentation and process modeling, so that they can start doing that?
Okay. So my experience is that when I was a contractor for many years. So usually when I work for that organization, they kind of already got the budget and buy-in. That's why I'm there.
True.
Right. But what happened is that this is called the top-down approach. I think is good. You need to get the buy-in from the senior management.
Right.
However, how do you get the real buy-in from the SME? The guys on the ground is working on it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we have to be frank that actually process modeling is not nice to look at. It's something that associate with stress.
Right.
Yeah. Why I say that? Say you ask me. When you need to look at the process model, is your boss telling you that, hey, the sales is good, or can we do something? Can we be more efficient?
Right.
Stress. Or this is a new regulation coming in. Or we need to have this new regulation. We have to look at do we meet the compliance? Do we manage stress? Everything is stress. So from my point of view as a process model, so back to the same thing, the process model must be simple, and the SME might have to find it useful to them, real value to them. It does really help them to think better. They have to see the benefit sooner, as quick as possible. Once they see the benefit, they use it, they will tell their boss. Now they will tell different. It's not because you want me to do it. Actually, I really want to do it because you really help me to make the right decision. Now I'm going to look good because I know I'm going to make these changes here. I feel confident to make this small little decision. I think this will have like a ripple effect. So this is a bottom up. But what I see a lot of things is that get the buy-in from the top down, but when we execute it, because at the end, what is visible is the model. If the model is not nicely done to meet certain standard or quality, everyone will say, no, this is, I think I find it confusing. It's really, it looks different. I don't see the energy. So everyone start talking, is this the right decision?
Right.
Maybe after 6 months, the confidence level will down, So I think the real thing is what we can see and touch is the process model itself.
Yes.
Have to be meetings, I would say, have to be good quality. Don't have to be perfect, but have to be good quality.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's great. And you mentioned something just before about process levels and different process levels. And I think for an organization that maybe hasn't started documenting their processes, or maybe they have, but maybe there isn't the right governance around it, or they're still forming that structure. Talk to me about the importance of having that process hierarchy, and what does that look like? What is a level 1 process? What is a level 4 process? And I guess explain to the audience the importance behind having that structure there.
All right. I'm not going to explain what is level 1, level 2, level 3. I think I'm not going to go there. The audience can just Google it out. They get the answer. But I want to reveal to tell is that what means by leveling is how it means by leveling, right? You can see that. So the business will have different level of the seniority. The GM want to look at the bigger picture. They just don't care about the very small little detail. Maybe the operation manager is lower a little bit. The guy who at the front end doing the serve the customer, their level of detail is even more detail. So leveling is about you need to have to suit different audience. So at the level, say a GME can look at this high level, this five, this how these five big components interact, how this building interact with how the building have impact with maybe the customer service, and the customer service has a complaint will lead to whatever thing, how this whole thing work together at a very high level. So the leveling is important. So you can just, if you organize it correctly, then you're able to suit different needs of the audience. And the other important is that because we cannot put too much information on one piece, it's just too much. So by doing leveling, so you can have the right amount of information on the page.
That's great.
I want to correct this. Another myth is that, oh, you have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's it. To me, is that sometimes, depending on your business, you can have more than that level. You have level 3, level 4, level 5, 6, 7. Even 8, it's possible.
Yes, right.
Because that is so much complication in detail in there, and you want to make some improvement in that particular area, you just have to go level and level, even 7. There's no say only 5 level. This is not true.
Yes, right. That's great. And when we talk about, I guess, approaching your organization, and I know that like the organizations that you've been involved in, there has been that strong process culture and BPM has been adopted. But for someone listening right now that maybe they're part of an organization where they haven't adopted it yet, or they don't do it very well, what are some of the, I guess, more common objections that come up when talking about modeling your processes, and when those objections do come up, how should somebody manage those objections?
What I can hear is that my experience that people say, no, just wasting too much of time, it's just too time consuming, or maybe whatever the model is doesn't reflect of what they're really doing. Just too difficult to model. This is what I see. So to me is that to handle the objection is that you have to give a model back to the same thing that is good and simple and they can understand. When I say they can understand, it's really they can understand, because I've seen too much. They just model it, then the SME will say, yes, I agree, because he has already spent 3 weeks on it. If he still don't agree, doesn't look good on him. You know, because it looks okay, yes, correct. This is how it flows. But we handle this process now to the technical guy, look at it. He based on this, he will interpret it. Then it's a different way because the model is wrong.
Yes.
The model is wrong.
Yes, right.
Yes. So it's like fall in love. When you see that model is right, you know when you see this is the right. When you know, it's hard to describe. You know it. This is exactly how you explain to me.
Yes.
That model, I would say that is that you can only know that your model is good quality until you see a higher quality model.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Delete to the other way is that I think I want to say is that to solve the problem is that the organization should try to look at some sample model that produced by another organization, if possible, which is good. Try to look at those models. Then from there, they can start to say, all right, this is the level of detail they want. This is useful. Then they can just, I wouldn't say copy, take the essential learning from there, then apply to your organization. The business can be very different, the process can be different, but the idea, the concept, the level of detail that you need to know, what level of detail that you want.
Yes, right.
This
right.
is very important.
Yes, that's really good. That's great. Now, as we look towards the future of business process management and in particular process modeling, where do you feel organizations should be spending their time, effort and energy over the next 2, 3, 5 years? What sort of trends are you seeing when it comes to business process modeling, and what should organizations really be thinking about?
I think three things I found it, I just think this maybe happen is that I realized that with the recent Agile, the popularity of Agile, user story, I see there's a lot of synergy between the Agile user story and the business process modeling,
Mm-hmm.
especially BPMN.
Right.
To me, they are actually identical twins that look different.
Okay.
Yeah, one express the process flow of the business in a visual form,
Yes.
that is business BPM, and user story is expressed in a very simple, specific format of text. As someone, I want to do this because, and this is my acceptance criteria. Actually, they both can just marry together. So in the future, I will see that there will be some tool that will start put these two together. Imagine you do the modeling using this tool, and you can just put your user story, your acceptance criteria. The other trend I can see is that as business process modeling become more and more mature in overall, I can see more and more organizations will map the process at the right level of detail. That means they will have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But with this one, now will create another challenge. Because now just imagine you look at level 3, there are 10 boxes. Now you click, now you have to zoom in. Sometimes it can be complicated. You have to zoom back to the panel level, then you go in. Then sometimes I want to say, I forgot about how does this particular process here and here talk to each other. Now you want to zoom it out. But we can't do this, all right? So ideally, let's say without a computer, you're going to print like 15 paper. So you start putting the right paper on the board.
Right.
But now we don't do this anymore. Everything is on computer. So I would say in the future, there will be a tool that will be so smart and intuitive and good enough to able to help the business to click. And maybe these two will merge together to give you the overall visual way of looking at the process model.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but I think this will be the next, maybe in the 5 years later, there will be some tool able to do that.
Yes.
Facilitate, improve the reading experience or how you of looking at the process model.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great to hear. So, and the last one that I wanted to touch on was for someone listening right now that they've been learning about business process modeling. They've been learning about notations and standards. You've spoken about UML and BPMN and the different process levels and things like that. But for someone that maybe this is the first time they're learning about process modeling or to the detail that we're going to, where should they, how can they learn more about business process modeling? If maybe what you've been talking about has sparked an interest inside of somebody, what should they do? Because obviously there's a lot of information out there on the internet, but sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. What do you read? Who's telling the truth? And what can you apply to your organization? So do you have any recommendations where someone should go to if they've got this interest in business process modeling?
I would say if you're able to get to the right purpose, the right people, even in process pioneer group, you have a lot of right people there. Mm-hmm. Talk to them, mm-hmm. Chat to them. I think they will offer you some tips mm-hmm. what to do. What, because it's very difficult to differentiate the right and the good and the bad. If you just Google BPMN, just everything is like, which one should I listen to?
Yes.
Right. So to start with, I've been to the Udemy. Actually, there are about 1 or 2 BPMN basic course. This is pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's free. Mm-hmm. And also there are some, I can see a lot of process modeling company. They actually produce their free training material in YouTube.
Right.
I think that is a very good way to learn.
Yes.
The reason behind is because they have a reputation to keep.
Right.
So whatever they produce, I would say is pretty good because they cannot just give you something that's not good enough to learn.
Yes.
Because their reputation is there. So it's a win-win for them. So I think go for those companies and see whether they have any courses that is free, or maybe I think some even offer like you can pay some paid courses to attend. I think this is a good way to start. Don't just Google the internet. Another way to start is that if you're happy to read 300 pages, just go to read the OMG guide.
Right.
Yes, it's very difficult to read, but that is the goal. That is the standard.
Right.
It's hard to read, but when you, okay, I should say that, let's say when you look at all those information, you see, oh, it's conflicting. It doesn't make sense. This one say this one say that. Then you go back to the book to see what it means.
Yes.
But having said that, when it comes to BPMN, is that in those OMG guides, they just talk about the notation. They didn't teach you the style.
Right.
Teach you the style, how to do it. Say, for example, model from left to right. Can I top to bottom is only when you're crossing the swim lane, the alignment, all those small little things that I think in the OMG guide he will not teach you.
Mm-hmm.
So those things I think is I would say it's common sense too. You just have to look at the sample, look at this one, see, is it good? Why is it good? Why I like it? Why is this easy read? Then you just learn from them. Just like what Bruce Lee said, you just have to discard what is useless to you, absorb what is useful and applicable to you, and you can create something that is uniquely that needed by your organization.
Mm-hmm.
I would say be open-minded, be logical, to absorb whatever is good in the market. Choose what is work for you.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's really good. Well, Kevin, we can only scrape the surface on the topic of business process modeling. As you mentioned then, in the OMG guide, it's 300 pages long. So obviously in 30 minutes or 40 minutes, we can only really scrape the surface on what there is to understand. But I think, the real value in this conversation is we're talking like right now, I'm talking to yourself and you are a practitioner, a business process modeling practitioner, where that's what you do every single day. This is what you're putting into practice. And it's not just, it's not small organizations that are giving it a go. You're working with Australia's largest organizations to document their processes, understand what is actually going on. And so I think, it's been a really valuable conversation today. And I think that the people that will be listening to this, they're going to learn a lot. They're going to glean a lot from you. And even if they only walk away with one piece of advice or one thing that stood out, then that's a win, because the goal of this series is to spark conversation and to get people thinking. And so I just want to thank you for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate it.